All right. Good morning and welcome to Coffee with Cap, everyone. We're excited that you're here. Kelsey has put together a wonderful presentation, and I'm excited to go through this with everyone. I am Megan Nice. I am the network lead for the Colorado Afterschool Partnership. And Colorado Afterschool Partnership is one of 50 statewide after-school networks funded by the C.S. Mott Foundation. This network provides Colorado after-school and summer programs access to valuable resources and research used by extended learning programs across the U.S. And we work to create partnerships that support the development and sustainability of after-school and summer programs across Colorado. And today we're going to be talking about goal setting, reflecting on 2020. This special Coffee with Cap, we wanted to reflect on the powerful lessons that came from 2020 and the first week of 2021, right? Kind of a wild start to the year, and how we can use those to forge a better after-school community this year. We will be engaging in deep discussion and working together as an after-school community to support one another as we decisively set new goals for 2021. So thank you for being here. Kelsey, you're going to go ahead and take it over.
Yeah, I'm gonna dive right in. So we'll be going over some of the following. So we'll be doing a goal setting activity, talk about a couple of different goal strategies, and then we'll dive into discussion. And then we will flip that and do a reflection activity and talk about some reflection strategies, and then also dive into some reflection questions. So the reason we wanted to do a 2020 reflection and 2021 goal setting is setting goals seems like a relatively easy thing to do, but a lot of us struggle with what comes after setting a goal. And I always have been told that goals mean nothing without a plan of execution, and I tend to agree 100% with that. So it's easy to say I have a goal to become healthier, but what does that actually mean? And how do you set actionable plans in motion to achieve those goals? So we're going to be answering and asking a lot of different questions during this Coffee with Cap session. So what are our actionable goals personally and professionally, but also as an after school community for the upcoming year? And we will be asking, how can these goals help propel after school forward and help keep ourselves motivated, since the work can be challenging? We're going to be utilizing Jamboard today, so I'll give everybody a second to click into that link. And a couple of you, I'm guessing, have used Jamboard with us in the past. I love utilizing this tool because it works well for discussions. Okay, so if you are new to the Jamboard and haven't used it before, it's super easy. The best way to make comments is to go over to the left-hand side, and you'll see this little box with some lines, and that's a sticky note. And you can click on that and choose colors, and then you can type directly into the sticky note your response to the question above. And then you can hit save, and it will pop up in this corner, but they will all kind of pop up on one another. So if we want to move them around the board so we can see everybody's sticky note, that would be great. So for the icebreaker activity, we are going to evaluate our yesterday. So add a sticky note to the board of 2 to 3 personal or professional goals that you want to achieve within the next year. And Megan and I did ours yesterday. So mine was to be more active and get outside a little bit more, and to create an engaged community for CAP, and then build on knowledge through educational courses. That was mine.
And mine was read more books, go on hikes, and put together a fall out of school time conference.
So we'll give everyone a couple of moments to think about those. But we will move on to the next portion of the icebreaker activity. Also, if you are new to Jamboard and don't know how to navigate, when we're going through different questions, you just click up here. And we have 9 slides, but we'll go through only 3 of them in this icebreaker activity, and then the others are discussion questions for later on. So I'll direct you when to do that. So let's skip to the second Jam slide. And in step 2 of this icebreaker activity, we'll add a sticky note to the board of 3 to 5 things that we did yesterday at work or home. So Megan and I also did this yesterday. I took my dog for a walk and I attended a CAP events meeting.
And learned about AmeriCorps and worked on a proposal for more professional development.
So we'll give a few moments to put your answers on the board.
I see one that says spent time out of the office to laugh in program. I don't know what that is. Laughing? Could somebody unmute and explain that one, if they don't mind?
Yes, so most of the time I do administrative, like I oversee programs and events and whatnot. And yesterday I took time and walked out of my office and actually spent time in our programs that are currently running and laughed with our kids and laughed with our staff, and it was really nice.
Oh, wonderful.
Yeah.
Thank you. Took a walk. That's a good one. Remembering to just go outside every day.
And spent way too many hours in Zoom. I think we're all feeling that recently. Cool. All right, so then let's move on to the third slide on the Jamboard up at the top. And so let's compare. So did our yesterday contribute to the goal that we put in the very first Jamboard slide? So we thought about the goals that we wanted to do, and then we broke down what we did yesterday, and did those really contribute to one another? It's always good to kind of see how little tasks within your daily life can demonstrate the power of accomplishing small goals to achieve a bigger goal. So ideally, daily action should support long-term goals and focus on small, important tasks each day, and they build up into massive results. So somebody said, yes, exclamation, which is great. No.
Yeah,
So
mine didn't. I said not really. Yeah.
Yeah. I said I should have put not really, because mine contributed to one of my goals, but not all of my goals. Sort of. Not as much as they should have, not really. Yes. I like how we're seeing kind of 50-50 yes and no. It definitely gets you thinking a little bit more about how your daily activities and your daily habits can affect the goal setting that you have in mind for the new year. So yeah, we'll give a few more seconds for others to pop in. All right, so we will move on to the next portion of this, where we are going to kind of dive into some goal setting strategies. And these are ones, I wanted to choose some that weren't as well known. So one of the ones that I found, I guess, comfort in, because we always see the SMART goals, and those are very well known, but a lesser known one is the spiral goal setting model. And I like that it kind of dives into having specific goals. And I find that even in my professional career, that's super important, is to be able to have uber specific goals and not keep them too generalized. So then there was another interesting piece of it, which you'll see to the right over here. So goals need to be small, achievable, and measurable over time, and they have to have a set of specific and clear outcomes. So according to American psychologist Edwin Locke, I'm not sure if anyone's heard of him, he created something called the goal setting theory, and he put into notion like you need to have two things to be able to a good amount of time. So small, achievable, and need to be uber specific. So these are pretty interesting strategies, I think, that are helpful when thinking about setting goals. Helpful little acronym that's similar to the SMART goals. And then another one that is actually my personal favorite as a goal setting strategy are vision boards. I'm not sure if anybody here has created a vision board. If you haven't, I highly suggest it. One, it's just really fun to sit down and create something. Vision boards are a great way to create a physical representation of the goals that you want to set and ideas. It's also a creative and helpful outlet. And a lot of people use vision boards throughout the year, but it is important to just use them as a visual reminder of what you're working on rather than a wish list. So I wanted to throw out some vision board ideas, and we can take a quick look at these. A lot of them have pretty similar ideas like save money or travel or become debt free or be creative and focus on health. So these are really fun to do as a goal setting strategy.
Kelsey, I'm curious if anybody has a vision board or has made one recently.
Yeah, me too. That was the question I was actually going to ask.
Oh.
Has anybody done a vision board recently? No, I see some head shakes. I did actually, but it was more of a vision board for like a home project. So we are redoing our basement. And so I put together like a vision board of what I wanted it to incorporate. I haven't done one for my goals yet though, but I will say they are pretty darn fun. Great. So then we will move on to the 2021 goal discussion questions. And if we want to pop back into the Jamboard, so when everybody is to slide 4, we can start using the sticky notes to put our answer to the question on top, which is, what is your why for setting your goal, and why do you want to achieve this goal? When I say this goal, we'll refer back to the goal that you put on the first slide of the Jamboard for the icebreaker activity. So the why for my goal is I want to create a healthier lifestyle. I see some trends in myself that I think if I keep going that way, I'll create a pretty unhealthy lifestyle. And that is, from checking my phone and being on social media or always being in front of a screen. I want to kind of take those things and put them to the side and create a healthier lifestyle so that I have more energy throughout the day. So that's one for me of why I set the goals that I did. My why is after school programming makes a difference. Absolutely true. Is a great reset for me so I can be focused when working with the kids. Also a fantastic one. All of these are great. The why behind it. And I really liked this question when thinking of linking it back to the goal settings of what kind of challenges I might face, because we tend to not think about the challenges that we're going to face when we are setting goals. We always just think about like the best possible outcome, like, oh yeah, I'm going to hit my goal. But there's always challenges and road bumps that come up when we're trying to actually go after our goals. So this was one that I loved this question, because when you are able to envision or maybe foresee what challenges you might face, you are better prepared to pivot and be able to make changes so that you can face those challenges head on, and they don't burn out your goal. So sometimes I'm pretty lazy about wanting to like stay healthy because I always choose the easy way out. Instead of making a salad, there's a microwavable Hot Pocket that I will choose instead because it's more convenient. So I think those are challenges for me personally. Budget. everything changing on a daily basis, that's a really good point. It's hard to kind of navigate what even tomorrow is going to look like. Fear of failure, that's a good one. I can relate to that one because I have the same thing.
Yeah, we were just talking before the start of the session about how fear of failure can prevent you from even starting the goal. You just keep pushing it off and pushing it off because you don't want to fail.
Yep, exactly. Complacency and burnout. I think that's a good one too. COVID round 15. Yeah. Pushback, stay the course. Systemic resistance to new paradigms. That's all of the discussion questions, actually. So we will dive back into the PowerPoint. So one thing that I wanted to really talk about were some of the tools for setting goals. And Megan and I brainstormed this list here, and we're really excited about it because these are things that we have personally found to be really, really good tools for just getting ourselves organized and setting goals that we have for CAP and being able to track them. So the first one is the science of well-being. I'm not sure if anybody has heard of that. Has anybody heard of the science of well-being, the Yale course on Coursera? No? Oh, okay, cool. Well, this is a really cool one. And you might be asking, why is the science of well-being a part of the goal and reflection discussion? And we added this in here because it can help you to be prepared to successfully incorporate wellness activity into your life, thus helping to create meaningful goals. So that is a little snippet from the actual website. So I can click into here and kind of show you what it looks like. Anybody hasn't heard of Coursera, it's a super cool platform. So it's basically a course that is offered by Yale and it's free. And they go through challenges that are designed to increase your own happiness. And they ask really, really thought-inducing questions. So this is a really cool tool to kind of, one, get yourself on a good kind of mental well-being course. So, and I think, yeah, Megan, do you want to?
Yeah, I was just going to add, I had first heard about the science of well-being through Dr. Carl Clark, who's the president of the Mental Health Center of Denver, and he talks about it a lot. And he actually encourages all of his staff to go through the course, and even invites, like I've seen him present at large presentations with hundreds of people, and he'll say, "Do this course." So, and I've started it several times. I need to put it on the Trello board.
Put it as a goal. Yes, so that is one tool. And then the second one is Trello. And Trello, you'll probably hear about me talk about Trello quite often because I truly love this tool. So I was able to actually find a template for a 90-day goal setting. And this is super cool. If you haven't heard of Trello, definitely check it out. And if you want to use it for specific goal setting, you can use this template. This is a very comprehensive template here. And I will actually drop this link in the chat for everyone, as well as the science of well-being. But yeah, so this is a really great way to track your goals and to measure them, which is an important part of goal setting. You have to be able to see where you started and where you've come. So Trello is great to do that. And it can be used for literally a plethora of other things. I use it for like my grocery list, but for the goal purposes, this is a great template. And then we can come back to the PowerPoint. And then another really good tool is just keeping a written journal. That's always, that's older, non-technical way of doing it, but it works. And just keeping a journal of your goals and the progress towards your goals is extremely important as well. And then there is an app called Way of Life, and it's a reminder and habit building app. It's pretty cool, and I haven't used it personally, but I have known people that have used it in the past, and they said that it works pretty well. And then the final tool that we wanted to highlight is tell others about your goal, because it increases accountability. It can forge discussions of, hey, how are you doing with that idea that you had or that goal that you set? So yeah, that I think kind of wraps it up for the setting goals portion. And then we can move on to the reflection part of the Coffee with Cap. So reflecting on 2020, this is going to be an interesting discussion just because 2020 was a rough year, and I think that being able to spend time reflecting on the impact of it is extremely important, but it's also a really great way to move forward with all of the important lessons that we took away from 2020, and we can help utilize that into building our goals for 2021. So now we'll be jumping into the reflective discussion for the past year. So we will actually be going back to the Jamboard once again. I'm creating a lot of different tabs up here with the Jamboard. So it unfortunately will put you back to the first one. So we want to scroll all the way over to slide 6 for the reflection activity. And I'll give everybody a second to do that. So for the reflection activity, this is a pretty easy, it's one step, and we are going to utilize the goals that we set on the first one. So we'll analyze how successful and what was not successful about the way our icebreaker activity played out at the beginning of Coffee with Cap. So we can reflect on the activity that we did at the beginning. Was it successful? Was it hard to answer those questions, just put on the spot like that? Did we have enough time to think through the goals and add your answer on the sticky note? We can be reflective and say, okay, this is what worked for me and this is what didn't work for me. I like that one. They're more like the first things that popped into my head. I had a similar thing. It's hard to think of something so quickly, but a positive that came out of it that was successful is seeing everybody else's goals and ideas. I was like, oh yeah, that's true. I want to work on that too. So essentially the reflection activity, I made it pretty simple and to go back to the icebreakers because we'll dive into reflection strategies. And the more that I was looking up reflection in building research for this Coffee with Cap, the more I realized how important it is. And I ran across a article that actually said reflection in and itself can be more important than actually like doing the tasks, because you're able to figure out what went wrong and what you would change in the future. So when you go back to do those goals or those tasks related to those goals, you're going to be better off because you reflected on what went wrong or what went right, and it's a great way of propelling yourself forward, which is a little bit of an oxymoron, but cool. So we will jump back into the PowerPoint. So some of the reflection strategies that I wanted to highlight, it's called the Gibbs reflective cycle. This is probably one of the most famous models of reflection, leading you through 6 stages, and you explore experience, description, feelings, evaluation, analysis, conclusion, and having an action plan. So this is a really cool tool if you really want to dive into reflection strategies. We're not going to dive into this in great detail just because we have some time constraints. We can't do all of it in the next 20 minutes, but I do recommend that if you want to become more reflective, that this is a really good source. And then we will move on to the last of the 2020 reflective discussion questions. So we will go back to the Jamboard and scroll through to slide 7. And this is the last time we're going to be using the Jamboard, so we won't have to scroll through anymore. And so these are the discussion questions that kind of have the reflective model of like, how did 2020 go for everybody? So what is something that was hard for you at the start of the year in 2020, but is easy now? And this is kind of a hard question. I haven't really thought about it much up until now. So I'll give a little bit of extra time for this one to kind of think through it. I think there's definitely a theme for everybody, and that's more so like the virtual learning aspects that kind of hit everyone hard in 2020. I would say for me, it's probably staying home. That was really hard, but it's gotten a little bit easier. I found a little bit of a better routine, so.
I was thinking about making a sticky note that said Zoom.
Yeah.
Just in general, like, didn't really understand it at the beginning of the year, but now I know how to do breakout rooms.
So pretty much Zoom master at this point. Awesome. I think, yeah, there's definitely a theme here of what everybody kind of went through together. So it's hard, but it's also cool to see that we have that connection to one another. So cool. Well, I think we can probably move on to the next slide and the next discussion, which is, what is something from 2020 that you want to see continue in 2021? Alrighty, so we will go on to slide 9, which is the last and final discussion question on the Jamboard. So the question is, how are you different than you were a year ago? Which that's a pretty deep question. It's hard to answer within a few words, but we can all give it a go. And that's a pretty good one to have some time to think through. So we'll spend a few moments on this. When we finish up the reflection side, we can always look at these and go back to what goals we have for 2021 and pull in the lessons that we learned from the reflection and see how we can implement them into building new goals in 2021.
I'm thinking that we've all changed over the last year, and thinking about like where I am today and if I had set goals, because I have changed, because I've become stronger in certain ways, that I will be able to achieve the goals that I set this year. I'm more likely to achieve them because of the growth.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think too, from the after school community aspect of it, the goals that like we've had for CAP was to build, a more engaged community. That's always like number one in my book as far as like goals for me with CAP. I think that taking like the reflective aspect of this is what we've done and this is where we want to go for the after school community, they're great lessons that we've learned. So I can take all of that and, like Jamboards, like I didn't know about Jamboards previously to joining CAP, and now this is a tool that we use quite often to be able to engage with you guys in a like more active way and get your ideas out there. So I think from my personal perspective, that's how I can see some really good stuff on this. Yeah, I think the after school community too has changed. They've become, I keep seeing the word resilient come up, and I love that word, especially for just the collective community, because they are so resilient and we get to work with them every day and just see kind of, what they do, and it's pretty incredible. So shout out to everybody, that has kind of trekked through the hard year of 2020, but we've seen that there's great things to take from it. So I love being able to focus on positives as well.